Welcome to the Rest Movement, where we release every single thing. Hey y'all, welcome to the Rest Movement, another episode. I am your host, Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper.
And I am Sonja D, your co-host, here to bring you some soul. And we are so glad that you've joined us.
Listen, I hope you have been following our journey with us. I hope you have been watching the previous episodes because we're building something here. This is not your typical podcast because this is not just a podcast, it's a movement. It's a movement where we are releasing every single thing. We're doing it by resetting. We're doing it by rebooting, reloading, and then being restored. And resetting is not something you do one time. Resetting happens whenever there's a reason to reset, a reason to release. And so if you have not watched previous episodes, we suggest that you go back because, as I said, we are building momentum. And I want to make sure you capture all the nuggets that we've dropped up until this point. This is actually a part 2 of a previous episode where we are unpacking pain. And we're gonna spend a few episodes unpacking pain because I want you to know why it's important. I want you to know how to do it. And so it's real important that you spend some time. We spent some time talking about forgiveness because we realize that that's one of the biggest things that keep us stuck is unforgiveness. And you have to reset by forgiving. Because if you don't, we can't expect our Father in heaven to forgive us of our unrighteousness and our mistakes and our errors. And let me tell you, I make them on a routine basis because I'm imperfect just like you. I'm flawed just like you. We all are. Yes, we were talking, I don't know, we were talking on camera, off camera one day, and we were talking about dysfunction and how when that word became popular and people started talking about, I came from a dysfunctional family. Well, guess what? The whole world came from a dysfunctional family. Yours may appear more dysfunctional than mine or mine more dysfunctional than yours, but who measures that but God? And God sees us all when we're in a sin nature as dysfunctional until he exchanges our unrighteousness for righteousness. And that's when we become his children, how that happens. And so we talked about in previous episode how when God forgives, he sends it into the sea of forgetfulness, because most people say, I'm going to forgive you, but I ain't going to forget. Well, if you go back and look at some episodes, we have told you, you cannot forgive without forgetting. I also want to remind you, make some comments because we do respond. We respond to your comments. I had a healthy exchange with someone who commented about forgiveness and said, I have to think about that perspective on forgetting. I don't know. And I shared the revelation that God gave me about forgetting. Because it truly, if you don't forget, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. It's still sitting there and it's still going to be bondage. And so you have to learn to forget. Forget is not saying it didn't happen. Forget is not saying that you're going to allow that person or that thing to stay in your inner circle or stay in your presence. It just means you're releasing them from the debt release. You know how peaceful it is when you have debt release. When you get that, it's paid in full. I got one of those paid in full just Thursday, and I'm glad. That was freeing to me. Mm-hmm. And so imagine when you release the debt, how it feels when you now have a zero balance on that particular thing. And truth be told, we've done a whole lot in our life to offend people, to say things that are unkind, didn't mean it when we said it that way, but when we realized we hurt them, we felt bad about it. Well, you want to be released from that debt. You don't want that person to hold you to that. So that's why we're saying to you, go back and watch. Watch the first, this is episode number 8, I believe. I'm losing count. How is it to lose count? We're doing that thing. But go back and watch so you can know, you can understand why this movement was started. It is a movement for women 35 years and older. I was sharing this with young man young man, middle-aged man like me. The other day, I was in a meeting with him yesterday, and he was sharing some of the struggles in his family, and we were just talking. He was talking about his dad, and I said for him to share the website, share the podcast with his wife. And he's like, "Well, man, listening to you talk, is it just for women?" I said, "Well, that's what God gifted me this for. However, the tools and the nuggets and the things that we give really can go for anybody. But our focus and our passion is to get women unstuck like we had to get there. And it doesn't mean that when you get unstuck in an area that you don't get stuck in another area and you need some resetting and have to do it all over again. That's why we're here. We're here to support you. It is a safe and sacred space where there is no judgment. So that's what we all need. We need to be reminded that when we were created, we weren't just created to be wife, mother, grandmother, businesswoman, all these different things that we are at the core of us. We are women, and God created us special. Through us, things are birthed. And so we have to make sure our womb is prepared. And I don't mean your womb in the natural. I mean your spiritual womb. That your spiritual womb is ready and it has what it needs to birth the great things that God started for you. So now that we've done all this introduction, we might need to do a check-in. We do a check-in before we get started, but we don't talk about everything. And I was like, what's your week been like? How has your week been like? Have you been okay? Anything going on in particular that we need to share with everybody?
Actually, it's been a very productive week. I did a little bit of traveling, and then I had to meet some deadlines at work that I was able to meet, and of course, being a BB and hanging out with my beautiful grandchildren.
In case you don't know what a BB is, this is BB extraordinaire. BB is her grandma name.
Yes.
I'm a Yaya. She's a BB.
Yes. Best job God ever gave me, and I take it very seriously. So,
boy, does she.
So yes, I had a beautiful week. Thank you for asking. What about you?
I had a revelatory week. So I think I shared the last episode the struggle I had been having with working in hospice and how it has stopped being a ministry for me because of the business side taking over and not allowing us to do it. And I've been off this week, mandated by my physician, because I needed to do some testing for her, but I also needed to do some reframing of my mindset. And I couldn't figure out this heaviness and this sadness I was experiencing. I didn't even know it was sadness. I just knew it was like doom that was covering me, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I have these affirmations in my bathroom, and is my nighttime affirmation. Actually, I've had that in my bathroom, but I wrote a daytime confession just the other day, and I posted it, and it actually came about after I had this revelation. And so I was in the mirror and I was like, God, I've been so at peace this week, and I just don't know what this is. And he said, you're grieving. I'm like, grieving what? Yes, I've had a recent loss, and that was heavier than I expected it to be. And I usually do grief and loss pretty well because I'm in hospice. So I believe it was what allowed me to go through my father's deaths, because I had started hospice.
I see.
And even though his death was sudden and unexpected for us, and I was a daddy's girl, through and through. So that was my main man. And so to lose him the way, it was a devastation to our whole family. But I believe if I did not have hospice and having to know how to help other people get through their loss, I would have never been able to. All of that to say, the revelation God gave to me when he said that I was grieving, and I began to explore, like, what do you mean I'm grieving? And he's like, you're grieving a loss of a relationship. Well, what relationship are you talking about? Hospice. I'm grieving the loss of what I used to have as a partnership. It was a platform that allowed me to do the kind of ministry that God created me to do, to empower people. The loss of being able to love upon my patients to the level that I used to be able to do that, and to support families and to be available, to be able to walk in a home and know my patients' family members so well, I could say to them, "Hey, how you doing?" And they could say, "Oh, I'm doing okay." And I could say to them, "No, you're not. What's wrong?" And give them a open space, a safe space to just reveal their emotions. Some people have been in a place where they're like, how much longer is this going to take? And having guilt that they want their family member to go on, and to be able to tell them that's a normal reaction, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
One, you don't want to see them suffering, and two, you're exhausted. And this can be a lengthy process for some people.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, when God said to me that I was grieving, it was like, the light just went on. When I tell you the peace of God, because the thing was to me, is God, you've given me permission to fire my employer. That I said I wasn't going to say, and I wasn't going to reveal, just in case they're watching. But I'm at the point now where I protect my peace so I won't be in pieces. I don't have time for that. Mm-hmm. So what you know will be what you know. Mm-hmm. So I was saying to him, you've already given me the peace that you told me I can fire my employee. I say fire, just so you understand. I don't believe in retiring, but I fire them. I'm firing them because they pay me for a service. I accept payment for the service. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to retire from you, because that would imply to me that that's finished work and I'm done. You can't determine that. God has given me my assignment for life. So I'm fired. I will be firing my employer. He has given me a date that I have to do it by. That is in 2026. We are in 2025, because I don't know when you're going to be watching this. Initially, I was like, God, I don't know if I could wait till April. He said, I never told you to wait until April. I gave you 9 months, and that's it. And I'm not playing with you. So when he told me that was July, he gave me 9 months. I was like, whoa, that's 9 months. That's a pregnancy. That's 9 months to birth something. So I had to listen. So when I went to that podcast summit in August, and people were asking me, so when are you launching your podcast? I really like what you're talking about. That's going to be powerful. And I was like, why do you keep asking me about a date and pressing me? But that press was because the spirit realm knew you have a cutoff date, honey. So you got things to do. And this is just one of the many things that God is showing me that I will be doing. But I can't do it and continue to work for someone who doesn't appreciate my existence and doesn't appreciate what I'm bringing to the table. For years, all of my time at hospice, I've enjoyed what I've been doing. Mm-hmm. I have loved it with a passion. You know, when I told you that I was no longer, you're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, it ain't me, it's them. You know, but when I'm in a place where I don't love what I'm doing, it's time to roll out. And so I still don't know the date. He told me in July to write my resignation without a date. And I can't believe I'm sharing this now, but I guess this is the release I needed to have and I needed to share. He told me to write my resignation, leave it without a date, so that it's always ready, and to keep it with me so that the moment he says, enough, go do it, I have it to give and I can move on. Whether I send it by email or whether I print it out and hand it over, whichever way, it is done and it is ready. It took me some months to be obedient to that. Because he told me in July, listen, I didn't do it in July. I didn't do it in August. I did it at the end of September. So
scary to,
it's major because I don't feel I'm ready. There are ducks that I would like to have in a row before this time. And the even greater piece I have, my husband, who is a dot I's and cross T's, and when it comes to money, he's got to see stuff, so he calculates it in his brain of how he wants stuff and how he wants stuff lined up. He wants to make sure things are lined up before stuff. So when I said it to him, and he didn't start looking like, oh God, how are we gonna make this? How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do it? When he didn't do that, I said, this got to be God. Because for sure, if he has any anxiety or stress about something, I'm not going to be the one to put stress and anxiety on my husband. So I will be have a conversation with God and say, listen now, you know him better than I know him. And we can't be doing this to him. So what are you saying? And the fact that he gave my husband peace, I can't have any apprehension. I've never been in this place where I'm so at peace with the decision that God has given me to make. And I would not have been able to do that if I wasn't in this place of doing some root work. And that's what we're finishing up today. Root work. How important root work is. How important it is to dig deep and dig in there and dig out why you are the way you are, why you respond the way you respond, why you do the way you, because we all are shaped and formed by our upbringing, our experiences, and our environment.
So what came to mind was root canal. And
wow.
Prayerfully, I've never had one, but I've heard about the whole process. And it's stuff down in there. It's been down there since you've been eating some of it, right? Which has caused this issue with your teeth, where the doctor's like, I have to do a root canal. And as you said, they say he digs so deep and it's very painful and uncomfortable. Even after it's done, you still have to deal with the discomfort for a while.
Let me tell you, now I've had a few root canals, ma'am.
Oh.
And they are painful. But what's even worse is when they think they got all the root out and they send you home with your temporary crown.
Ouch.
And you wonder why they H-E double hockey sticks.
Pain.
I'm still hurting. I mean, you expect some pain because they numb you. Once the numbing wears off, then everything wakes back up like, oh, your body's like, something happened here. And it's sending stuff. It's sending white blood cells, red blood cells. That's what causes the pains. Those nerve endings, all of those things are reawakened because they're no longer numb.
Yeah.
And then you call it. Then it's like, listen, you said that the pain would go away. I am still hurting. Well,
hello, God.
Come back.
God.
Right? Come back. And they discover there is another root that they didn't see. And they have to dig. Woo! Look how God just gets the revealing stuff.
Girl.
So just when you think you have rooted out some stuff and you think it's all done, but the pain is still there and you're still, you're still not able to figure out why this is still affecting you, it's because there's still some root left that you have to dig out. That's why it's important. That's why it's so important. And so, oh my gosh, I'm so glad God revealed that to you, to use that as an analogy, because I didn't consider that. I've had root canals, and I've also had a root canal where it was still painful and had to go back, and they discovered again. They left something behind. And we don't need to leave nothing behind, because leaving stuff behind will keep you hurt. It will keep you in unforgiveness. It will keep you bitter. It'll keep you angry. All these other things that it will cause you to do because you have not unpacked it. You have not uprooted it. You have not dug it out. And we look at a plant and we dig out in the soil, but we're talking about digging out in your soul, your mind, your will, and your emotion. We gotta dig it out.
And you know what that also makes me think of? Is when you've agreed that this has to go and you want to grow, but the pain is intense and you're tired of feeling the pain. So you go get a Band-Aid, whether that be a man, a new dress, a drink. But guess what?
You better stop.
That pain ain't going nowhere. It's just temporarily disappeared, right? But after you wear that dress, sometimes you didn't even get to the dress. You just have purchased it. You got these cisterns that you're trying to fill up, right? And so I think I can speak on not necessarily, I can speak on thinking I had gotten through and really being so excited because I might have woke up that morning not feeling no pain or no, hurt or sadness. And going about my day thanking God, oh, it's over. I finally come to this place. And then one little thing happens, that trigger, whatever that was. And I am down like in a fetal position again. And so it's good to feel good, but make sure that you don't make any moves, any sudden moves outside of your obedience and your hearkening to hear exactly what God is saying. Because even if you do feel good, you don't have to go out here and make any new mistakes, which means maybe a relationship or credit card debt or whatever. Just lightly. Go lightly, you know?
In other words, don't be jumping out there prematurely.
Right.
You know, you had your first swimming lesson. Now you think you can go to the ocean
Right.
and jump out of a boat.
No. You feeling froggy today?
Right. We might be telling our age again with the feeling froggy. I don't know, but I like it anyway. You feeling froggy? Then let me see you jump.
Right.
I'm telling you, listen. We dived in so deep because we dig into that I don't know what part of where we're supposed to be, but I know that we were going to start with steps to dig it up.
Yes.
Steps to dig up that pain, steps to make sure that in this root work, because this is getting to the root of your hurt, digging deep into your soul, we want to make sure that we give you some actionable things. And we told you at the end of the last episode, we were going to talk about it: acknowledge, locate, name it, forgive again, and replace. And so acknowledging it is exactly what we're talking about now. So we really are on point, even though we just went in.
Weren't in the car.
Don't pretend the pain isn't there. And as you said, sometimes masking it with other things. That's how addictions get started, how alcoholism, how addiction to men, addiction to things, even being on your phone. And some of these things on here, people will start gambling on here. And the next thing you know, or you're playing a game that requires you to buy more stuff. And before you know it, you're looking at your Google account. If you have a Android, I guess it's Google. If it's iPhone, I don't know what y'all, because I'm a Android for life. Don't judge me. Whatever it is, which you iPhone people, where y'all play y'all games.
iPhone.
Whatever. So it seems we can disagree and I think disagreeable because I'm Android for life. Anyway, it's like when you're playing a game and you all in, and then you don't have points. You don't have enough coins. You don't have enough points to this particular, I guess, particular level that you're at. If you press this button, it will give you more coins, but you got to pay for it, and it takes you to. And before you know it, you look at your account. You don't spend $50 because you keep paying $1.99, $5.99, $9.99. I've been caught because I use my games on my phone to distract me when I feel like my mind is on overload. And I've discovered that when I'm thinking a lot, I fall asleep quickly. I could be sitting and I'm out, and it's because God is trying to shut my brain down to reset. And so when I get to that place, sometimes I just will go in a game that doesn't take me a lot of thought or energy just to take my mind away from it.
Gotcha.
And then if I'm getting deep in it, sometimes I can spend $1.99 and give me 100 coins because I don't want to lose my progress. And it's dumb stuff. We can get stuck just like that because we're not acknowledging, well, why am I thinking so much? Because that's what I should. If God is making me go to sleep to relax my mind, I should be saying to him, God, I don't want to be asleep. Show me what I'm overthinking about. Show me why I'm thinking so much. What is burdening me that I really need to be given over to you?
Yeah.
What is it? So show me. It's just like God has given me the gift when I lose something to just say, hey, can you show me where it is? I didn't tell you. And I'm so mad. I'm forever losing my glasses. They need to have a clap on them so I can stop losing them. So I buy multiple pairs so that I can stop losing. If I lose one, I have a backup. So I got a backup in my car, I have a backup in my room. But these are some glasses that were my backup that I started loving as my first. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you just had the glasses. Where are the glasses? I'm looking all over the house for it. And I was like, God, you have got to show me where the glasses are. Well, he showed me the grass outside. And I was like, I ain't been in the grass. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, you done asked him to show you where the glasses are. And so our lawn guy hadn't been here for a few weeks because, the rain, and then it got cool. And I was getting ready to call him to ask him, hey, have you cut our grass? I mean, have you cut the grass over at the other house? But my neighbor hasn't called to say, hey, your grass is tall. So I assume must been doing what he's supposed to do over there. But our grass over here, we're going to get lost if we walk through it. So I didn't go looking for my glasses out like I was supposed to, because I thought God was tripping, or I was tripping, because that ain't what he said. And we come home and the guy's here and he's cut the grass. And that was just me and my husband coming back. Later on, I had my son and granddaughter in the car. And we getting out the car and go in, and she said, yeah. Picked up my glasses that no longer had limbs, didn't have arms or lenses.
Because he didn't cut them?
Because he done cut them up. So I took them, I kept them, and they are on my counter in the kitchen to remind me, look, when God tells you to do something, you ask him where they were. He showed you grass. All you had to do was get up and go outside and look. And now you don't have your favorite glasses.
Oh.
So I've just this morning ordered me another 3 pair. Replacing those, the same ones, and 2 new ones. But when God tells you to do something, when God is revealing things to us, we can't just ignore.
Nope.
So my acknowledging the pain for me in that moment was I needed my glasses, and these spare weren't going to work, because these spare were really sunglasses. And, I'm doing it the cheap way. I'm not going to say what place I use, but it's one of those places online that you can use and get them for inexpensive fun. They're not sponsoring this episode, so until they show me the shmoney, I'm not mentioning their name. But I wear these glasses, and I love them. Inexpensive. You order enough of them, it could be a little. But I had to ask God to forgive me, because I asked him and I didn't want to listen to his answer. And I'm asking him, is he tripping? But no, you tripping, because if he gave you an answer,
you really asked God if he was tripping.
Listen, I didn't say it out loud, but he know our thoughts.
Right.
And I was thinking it like.
So he said, I'm going to show you where your glasses at.
Right. And I'm saying to myself, glasses are not in. I would have seen them, because I thought about that myself. And I would walk by and just kind of skim. But as I said, the grass had gotten high. I should have been looking deep and trying to find it, but I did not do that. So consequently, I can acknowledge the pain now. But in order to be able to dig deep and to really root out the issue, you've got to acknowledge what it is. You cannot be afraid of it. You cannot try to overlook it, and you certainly cannot replace it by numbing yourself with stuff or people or things. It's never going to be a way. Locate, where did this root start? Did it start in a moment? Did it start because of a person? Did it start because of some past experiences? Did it start because of some trauma? We got to locate it. So acknowledge, locate, then name it. Give it a name.
Did it start because of you? Is there something that you told yourself that you held on to without really dissecting it, and it became your story, even if the story was a little jaded, and that catapulted into something that caused major pain along the way? And it's okay. We're not here to condemn you for that, because we've all done it. We've all let our imaginations get the best of us. And self-condemnation is the one thing that the devil wants to keep on you. But you got to release that thing. Say, okay, this is what I did and this is what I said. But the truth of the matter is, and move from that point and you'll be fine. We've all done it. We've all done it. You're all right. You got this.
Amen. You got this. Name it. Name it. This is fear of abandonment. This is a need of control. This is coming from the lie of I'm not enough, which if you watch the first or second episode of our podcast, I talked about the fact that I never felt enough growing up. And so I had to identify some of these insecurities, this low self-esteem, this thinking. My husband was saying something that he did not say because of the low self-esteem in me and having to deal with my own identity and what I felt about myself.
Right.
Because if I don't feel well about myself, I can't expect anybody else to validate something that I don't. How they gonna validate? When you go to get something validated, you actually have something in your hand to go get validated. But if I didn't have high esteem in me, who gonna validate it? So what I've allowed people to do is validate the low self-esteem in me by saying stuff to me or doing stuff to me, and I gave it permission because I never addressed them or it.
And it's okay. So I'm looking at you thinking about your amazing self and your beauty, and I'm like, we are God's daughters. Hello.
Listen.
Let that thing go.
Listen.
We are God's daughters.
And I told you, I played the role for a long time because people thought I was super confident. In church, I've always sang, even as a very little girl, but they didn't notice when I was singing. My eyes was closed because I was intimidated by those in the audience. And now being a minister of the gospel, it took me a while to stand in the confidence of what God called me to do. And now, I always have some nervousness because I want to always have some nervousness. Otherwise, I'm going in my own strength and not the strength of God. So I don't ever want that to go away because I don't want to be boastful. I don't want to be super confident that I edge him out, that I'm walking with an ego. Right. And ego means edging God out.
I did this.
Yeah, I don't want that to ever happen. But that naming self-esteem or low self-esteem or naming not being good enough, maybe just naming not feeling like you're good enough, then you can identify that it's self-esteem. That if you don't esteem yourself high, you will have, I don't want medium self-esteem. I want to be boastful in the Lord, and I want to recognize, just as you said, we are God's daughters. We were made in his image. We're not junk. There's so much beauty in us. And if we don't recognize it, and one of the things that I wrote in this new confession that I have for myself in the morning on my wall in the bathroom was that I will never speak negative words again, because my words are not just words in the atmosphere, but they are spiritual containers. And whatever I put in these spiritual containers, I will become or I will do. So if I don't speak well of myself and I don't put that in my spiritual container, then what I'm going to put in there are negative things, like things I don't like about myself. I'll make jokes about it, and just so somebody else doesn't make a joke about it first.
Right.
Like, you can't say nothing about me because I say it about myself. Well, that's dumb because God ain't make you that way.
Right.
So where'd you get that from? Who are you comparing yourself to? If I have a different fingerprint and you have a different fingerprint, it's because God didn't need no clones of each other.
That's right.
He needed us. We have different assignments. We need to be different. We need to be able to partner with one another. But all the while, when you partner, both of us bring something different. Who wants a partner? If I'm cloning you, you have the same identical thoughts that I have. What good would we be to the women who would be listening to us if all we think is just alike, or we don't have a perspective?
Right.
A perspective is simply a point of view. My viewpoint is just even me sitting from this direction. There are things I'm seeing over here that you're not going to see because you're not pointed that way. But there are things that are behind me that you see that I can't see because I'm not facing that way. That's so our point of view is so important. And it's okay to see things differently.
Right. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
It's okay. God created us different. So again, acknowledge what the pain is. Don't pretend it isn't there. Locate where it came from. Name it. Give it a name. We've talked about that. Your belief. What's your belief? What somebody told you, like you said, what did somebody tell you that you've taken on as your identity? And I think I shared in the episode, I don't know if, I think we weren't co-hosting then, that Myron Golden, I absolutely love Renee. He is just phenomenal in how he empowers. But he talked about this thing called my identity, my identity, and lie identity. Hopefully I'm saying it right, because Somehow I feel like I'm not, but my identity is what you believe. No, my identity is what you allow other people to say about you.
Mhm.
My identity is what you start believing about yourself, based upon the lies that have been told. And then there's identity, how you identify with Christ, knowing who you are really are.
Mhm.
And so when you start having things said to you and beliefs that you have taken on about yourself, I was reading this morning. I have been studying the woman in the Bible for some months, and this morning I was reading about Leah, and it's a story about Jacob and him going to find a wife, and he sees this beautiful woman, Rachel, at the watering hole where they're getting some water, and Laban was her dad, and he saw her and he wanted her, and he went to her father, and they realized, they were family, and he began to stay there with him, and he told him he wanted Rachel, and the father knew the custom was the older sister had to marry first. Well, you should have shared that with Jacob before you did what you did, because what would have happened if you shared? Maybe he would have said, okay, yeah, I'll marry her too, but who I want is this one. But what he did was, he said, what can I do to have her? And he said, you could work for me 7 years, and then I'll give her to you. And so that night, he sent in Leah in disguise. He sends Leah in disguise. It's nighttime. Ain't like they got the kind of lights we have. And he sleeps with her. In other words, consummate the marriage. And, once they consummate the marriage, that's it. That's your wife. And then when he discovered, that's not Rachel, you lied to me. You made me work. You're making me work for you these 7 years for Rachel. That's who I wanted, but you gave me her. It's like, well, the custom in our country is you have to marry the older daughter. We have to marry her off first. He's like, okay, well, what I got to do to get Rachel? So I began to think about Leah, unpacking her, and imagine probably her whole life, because the Bible says that she wasn't so good looking, but Rachel was beautiful.
Okay.
So I can only imagine, as being the older sister, the first, she had nobody comparing her looks until this beautiful little sister come. And everybody's making over the beauty of the sister, and she's probably the one who's given the most work. So I imagined her. I imagine your own father did not think well enough of you to just present you to this man and say, I know you want my younger daughter, but you have to marry my older daughter as well, because the oldest daughter has to be married first in our custom. You didn't even give her enough respect as her dad to even share that, and how she felt being married off to a man that didn't even want her. And all she had to deal with, and the Bible went on to say that she birthed him 6 sons and a daughter before Rachel ever. So the father gave him Leah, also gave her, I think it was Zilpah, a handmaid to work for her. So her maid. And then he allowed him to marry Rachel, and he had to serve him another 7 years, so 14 years, just to have these 2 women, and really just to have the one woman, because he didn't care about the other one. But she was birthing him his legacy, and she still did not get the respect that she deserved. But look how God blessed her. He blessed her with all of these children to give to her husband. Rachel couldn't have any. She couldn't have any.
She was barren. Yeah.
She was barren until something happened. And then Rachel became a gem and a jewel. And she was able to, so the father gave Rachel to Jacob, and he gave her Bilhah, which is another handmaiden. So that handmaid was assigned to Rachel. And so all of the handmaidens and the wives birthed children for Jacob. That's how we got the 12 tribes. But Rachel birthed his favorite sons. And I wonder if those favorites were because it was because of her. It was because of her. So again, Leah made him a dad, gave him 6 sons from his loins. That's something that he could, in the courts where people get respect, when you have men children in biblical times, they got lots of respect for that. So this woman has given you 6 sons and a daughter, and she still didn't get the respect that she deserved. And she is no different than many of us. We go through and we do a lot of stuff. We are a blessing and a benefit to so many, and we still don't get the respect that we deserve. And God made us special. She was a special woman to have endured what she had endured. And I'm saying to you, you are special for what you've had to endure, and still every day show up as a mother, still every day go to work and provide for your family. Still, if you're a wife, still had to show up and be a wife, even though you were enduring such great pain. And it is the reason why we spend so much time with you, wanting you to understand how important it is to do this root work. Because you're more than what others have said to you. You're more than what you've said about yourself. You're more than your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to my granddaughter yesterday on the phone with some of her friends, and she said, "Oh, I was just lying." And I opened her room and said, "We don't say we were lying. You can say you were kidding, you were joking, but when you say that I am just, that's what you become. So instead of saying I am, because if you're saying you're lying, you become a liar at your own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And so your words are important. What you say about yourself is important. So again, our words are not just words. Words have power. Even God said that my word shall not return back void. And if we're created in his image, our words don't return back void. They're not empty. They're full of whatever we put out there. There's just remember, your words are spiritual containers. And so whatever you put in that container will come out and be manifested because you spoke it. And God honors what we say and what we speak. The next thing that we need to do is forgive again. Sometimes root work surfaces new layers. Some other stuff is like peeling an onion. You peeling, there's another layer, there's another layer. So if something else shows up, you may have to go back to that level of forgiveness again, because now something else has resurfaced. You thought you had forgiven.
Right.
You thought you'd forgotten about it, but something else, when you start digging deep and start really looking in, you discover that there is something else that you did not dig up. And when you dig it up, the last thing of this steps to digging it up is to replace it. Plant truth where lies once lived. So if you believe you weren't enough, then you now need to say, I'm more than enough. You have to replace those words. If you didn't think that you were smart enough, then you now need to speak that I'm not only am I knowledgeable, I am wise. Not only do I have the knowledge, but I have the wisdom to use that knowledge in the right way.
Right.
You have to change it, replacing it. So digging up the root doesn't destroy you, it frees you. It doesn't destroy you. You won't. God will never leave you in a place where you cannot be restored. That's not how he operates. He is a restorer. He keeps us. He watches over us. He takes great care of us. But he's also a gentleman. He doesn't force himself on you.
Nope.
So if you don't want my relationship, okay. I was sharing with the gentleman yesterday when he asked me about my podcast. We were talking about the state that we're living in. And he was talking about his wife having to, was forced in retirement early because of the current regime of government. And I said to him, well, the United States have been disrespecting God for a long time. We may have on our coins in God we trust, but we don't trust him. And as believers, we don't even stand against unrighteousness. When we disrespect him and we show him that we don't want him, what does he do? He takes his hand off. The current governmental regime, they're not new to us, but they're true to what they've always said. So why are we always shocked by what he does? He is the only president that I've seen ever in life that says what he's going to do and does what he said he's going to do. I don't care how crazy and how much lunacy is in it. I don't care how much it makes no sense. He said it. So why are we in disbelief? And if we knew that re-election was happening and we saw it in the polls, what have we done? What responsibility have we taken to shift and change the way we do things so that we're not affected so deeply? And then why are we affected so deeply when we have a Father in heaven who provides according to his riches, not according to government's riches, not according to what is vetoed or canceled out? Why are we so, and it's a stronghold, because a stronghold means relying on anything else other than relying on God. And so we're relying on governmental agencies, we're relying on governmental monies, we're relying on taxes, we're relying on all of these things. And we get so wrapped up in that we don't even seek God. And he said, if my people who are called by his name, I can't say this scripture enough, that would humble themselves and pray and seek his face and turn from our wicked ways. So he's identifying that his people have some wicked stuff about them.
Absolutely.
And if we don't turn from our stuff, he can't heal our land.
Nope.
And we spend more time talking about the president than talking about or reminding our president in the spirit realm and prayer time of who our God is. Why? Because I have a Father who already protects me, a Father who always makes sure my needs are met, a Father who sees my circumstances and always makes a way out of escape.
Mm-hmm.
He sees what I need, and he's a supplier of all my need. It doesn't need that scripture, if you read it, doesn't even say God will supply all your needs with an S. He said all your need according to my riches and glory. So if it's need, that encompasses everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, you're not even going to have a whole bunch of stuff. You just trust me. I got you.
Right.
And so this platform is to help us to release every single thing. Who we releasing it to? To him. And the only way we can release it is we identify what it is we need to release. We don't even know why we need to reset, because we won't dig deep. We just, it's like we go to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. In the next, so Monday, go to work 9 to 5, come home, do our thing, go to sleep, hit repeat for the next day. And we stay stuck in that same manner year after year, year after year, year after year. And we have to come out of that, because God created us for something more than that. And it's never too late. I don't care if you're in your 70s, your 80s, your 90s, your 60s, your 50s, your 40s, your 30s. I don't care if you're 100. My father has a cousin who checks him. I'm always amazed. She's probably like 96 now. Always checks on me, asks me how things are doing. I just saw her like one of my posts on Instagram or Facebook the other day and nearly cried, because this was my dad's cousin, and I believe her father might have been my dad's first cousin. I don't know, but she and him were very close. My parents were alive. They used to do a lot with this particular cousin, and she's older than my father. She was one of his older sister's age, but my daddy was close with all of his distant cousins twice removed down. He traveled to visit everybody, so she happened to be local at the time, though. But I'm amazed that she reinvents herself all the time, and how, she's lost siblings, she's lost cousins, and she's still doing the daggone thing.
Good for her.
So I sent her, I texted her the playlist of the podcast so she could check it all out, since she liked the post that I sent, a promo of the podcast. I actually sent it to her, and I'll probably call her next week and see if she got it and see if she had any trouble opening up. But that just amazes me. I'm not going to live a life where, even one of the titles of one of the nuggets in my book, he told me to rest, coming soon. One of the nuggets said, I'm not going to rust out. I'm going to wear out. Rusting out, you sit still and just let life happen, and you age in place in doing nothing. You won't ever catch me being like that. I don't care if I'm on my bed and can't move. Long as I got this, I'm going to keep declaring the word of God, keep empowering, and my situation will never change what's inside of me to cause me not to do what God has called me to do. So I'm going to wear out, because I'm going to keep working and working and working until I can no longer. When I say work, I mean just being what God created me to be. Not going to rust out. Because Don't be rolling your eyes. I'm not going to be resting out because I'm sitting around doing nothing just because I can. This week while I was off and I was doing the things that a doctor asked me to do, my husband said, "You look like you're working. I see you as much on the computer as when you." I said, "No, because you forget. For the last few months, when I'm off from work, I don't bring work home anymore. I've done that for 20 something years. They don't get no more of my time, but the 10 hours that I work, that's done." I said, "So when you see me at my computer, I'm doing my brand work. I'm doing business for what I'm going to be doing when I fire my employer." So again, when I had some moments, that's what I was doing because I believe God is up to something great, and He's going to use all of us to make that happen. I want to make sure I keep interjecting for you all. Make sure you comment. If something resonates with you or there's a struggle that you're having, put it in the comment so that we can respond to your comments. We can even add some of those conversations to some of the conversations that we're having so that you get the answer that you need. There gonna come a time when we'll have live sessions where we're actually live and can see your comments. Just not yet because we're still working things out. We're still growing and learning. This space that is new to both of us, it was not a space that either one of us thought we would be in, but praise God that we said yes, and He ain't have to check us for not saying yes. Amen to that. So when we think of acknowledging, locate, name it, forgive, again, replace it, do you have any difficulty or any of those are hard for you personally?
No, I think something you said in one of your previous podcasts about the trainer who was working with his client. His client was like, "Oh," and he said, "So what? It hurts. It's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna hurt forever. Like you can get through this." And on the other side of that is your body is healthier, you're stronger, you're leaner, you're better. So go through the process knowing that you're not going to be there forever. This isn't a place that you're going to stay. It's just part of you getting over to the other side where your purpose will live itself out.
On the other side of through.
Yeah.
You got to get through so that you get from here, your pain point, you go through a process, and then you get on the other side. It's so different.
Yep.
We're witnesses. We're telling you it's so different.
And you got it. You can do this. And we're here for you.
And we talked about earlier, our next point, signs your roots are still there. We talked about that a little bit earlier. When you think you're over it and you discover you're not because there are other layers that pop up or other stuff that you've been burying. And so here are some of the signs. You overreact to minor issues. I've become acutely aware of that, and usually now can check myself before I have to be checked. I don't like God checking me. Let me just be honest. It's divine checking, and He can be gentle until you don't listen. Then He can nudge you a little harder. He gives you, most times He's giving you chances, because when it becomes abrupt or something drastic, that's like chance number 5 or 6. That's not what He does initially. That's not the kind of God we serve. Unless you standing on some track and the train is coming. Yeah, He might knock you off the train quick because there needs to be an immediate response.
That's right.
But most time God gives you warnings that you're just not listening to.
That's right.
I shared with my nephew just yesterday that, while you're having this government shutdown, sit in it and ask God to reveal to you, because sometimes, just like in the pandemic, people became the most creative because they had to. And it wasn't that the creativity wasn't in them, but they didn't have to use it before.
Right.
Because they could just go with what the world identified. But so many people became entrepreneurs in the pandemic, and they never went back to their job when the job opened back up.
That's true.
And so rather than complaining that God has allowed, because if God allowed it, there's a door that's bigger that you are not even looking at because you're still looking back. You're like Lot's wife. You're looking back and getting frozen. When in this time, say, okay, God, you see what's happening. You know what we need. What are you trying to reveal to me? Because God is either trying to reach you or teach you.
That's it.
If he's trying to reach you, it's because he doesn't have your attention. Or if he's trying to teach you, he has your attention, but there's a lesson that you need to learn in this season.
And what about the rest movement in terms of what's going on in the country right now, in our area, especially because this is a big government area? The layoffs of 300,000 Black women. Can you imagine if those women opened up the doors that God had for them? Now that's a rest movement.
Because we birth things.
That's amazing.
And God doesn't allow, listen, God doesn't allow anything to happen without his permission. And if he's given his permission, I've already said that as a nation, as a country, we have disrespected God so much that here is a time when we can make our relationship with God right. Here is a time if you have a relationship and it wasn't strong because you talk to him when you need something. You don't praise him just because you don't praise him for what he's already done or worship him because of who he is. Or maybe you're not even his child because you have not. Because I don't believe I'm firm on this. Everybody is not a child of God. We like to say that, but that's not the truth. The only time you could be a child of God is if you call him Father. And you can't call him Father unless you accept his Son. So let's make that disclaimer clear. Everybody is his creation, though.
Right.
And when he's trying to reach you, sometimes he allows these things to happen to get your attention and to pull you to him. And then for those he's trying to teach, he's trying to remind you, I am your provider, not the government. I am the one who created you on purpose, for purpose, and by design. And I have something that I've been trying to share with you. But when you go to your 9 to 5, you forget your gifting because you're working for them and not him. And so this is not to be insensitive to anybody's struggle. Absolutely. I promise you. I promise you, I'm not being insensitive to anybody's struggle. I am just challenging you to shift your thinking to, okay, God, you gave the enemy permission to do this, to have this shutdown that we're experiencing. What do you want to birth out of me in this season? What do you want to birth out of me? What do you want to do through me that you couldn't do when I was preoccupied by the overworking of my job? Am I so focused? Because when I'm at work, I'm focused on work. When I get home, I'm focused on family. And then I don't have that time. He gives us 3 8-hour segments. The number 8 is new beginnings. The number 3 is the number of the Trinity. So he gives us 3 8-hour segments. 8 hours to work, 8 hours of purpose, 8 hours for sleep and rest. So what we spend so much time with the 8 hours of work that we get home, and we're not focused. All we can focus on is getting dinner ready or, let's get homework done, those kind of things. But what have we done for him? Then we're exhausted when we get that rest time. We're exhausted before we go to sleep and we still don't spend time with him.
It's true.
And so he's just trying to get our attention. He's trying to get us. This is a time of revival, but he's got to destroy rebellion. And many of us are rebellious. Just like my glasses. I was rebellious. If I hadn't have been acting all rebellious, I wouldn't be having to be buying some new glasses had I listened and not sitting there like, she ain't telling me look at no grass. I should have took my behind right outside and found my glasses, but I didn't. So now I have a lesson learned, right? So again, signs that we get on a tangent because all this stuff is important. So even if we don't stick with the outline that we've created, I still want you to know everything we're saying. These are nuggets that we are dropping for you to grab hold of. God gave me that nugget dropper title many years ago in ministry because I believe that I drop nuggets. I don't hand you nuggets. And you have to have a basket of your own. And you have to have a willingness to pick up the nugget that was dropped and store it in your basket to take away. Because maybe you won't need it at this moment. But I believe every nugget that is dropped, if not for you at a later date or right now, it may be for somebody you know that you need to share it with. So that's why it's important that you share the episodes so that other women can be blessed. We react to minor issues. Again, we're talking about signs that the roots are still there. You know that root canal, and they left a root, and how painful it is. You shut down emotionally when triggered. You don't deal with stuff. You just get quiet. That used to be me. I would be so hurt and so broken by things people would say or do to me, and I never would address it with them. I would just go home in pain and thinking I'm healing myself, and just hit repeat and go back and let them abuse me again. And I don't mean physical abuse, abusing my relationship with them, taking their treatment of me, taking advantage of my kindness and my loving way of just treating me any kind of way, because you didn't think that I would be the one to pop off. I wouldn't, because I wasn't. But now I will check you. Another thing, you still carry negative inner dialogue from the past. You're still talking to yourself and replaying over and over again in your mind things that you need to relieve yourself of. You struggle to trust or allow others in because one person did something to you, or maybe two or three. I've shared with you all the relationships that I've been in, meaning male, female relationships that I've been in. I'm still friends with everybody, no matter what dog dirty thing you did to me, because it's usually you who did something and me who allowed it and gave you permission to continue to do it because I didn't check it, or I felt like I wasn't enough. So I'm supposed to put up with that kind of stuff. You know, you not making me a priority and I'm making you a priority. I'm supposed to put up with that until God gave me revelation of who I am, and that self-esteem started coming up, and it went from low to mid to now. I teeter back and forth between mid and high. But you get to that place where you start not allowing other people to come in because you lose that trust level. But again, they weren't the person who cut you. So why are you bleeding on other relationships that shouldn't be bled on because they didn't do anything, or you don't give them a chance at all? If the reaction is bigger than the moment, the root is still there. It's a small thing. They forgot to take out the trash and you blowing up like they done scattered trash all throughout the house. The trash is still in the container. It's just a little full, but you flipping out like, they haven't shaken the trash out 20 weeks. So you understand that your reaction is bigger than the moment. The root is still alive, and we got to fix it. Have you noticed any of these patterns within yourself that you can identify?
I think I've learned to quiet my spirit and be more mindful of what I say. And I realize it could be anger, sometimes trying to control a situation, fear. All of those things are part of the dealing with the past or whatever, or feeling some sort of way because it connects to something in the past. So I don't lash out like I used to. I quiet my spirit, and I ask God to give me the words to say, because sometimes something does need to be said, but I need Him to curb my tongue.
Control, when you say the word control, that really helps, reminds me of how many of us, because we have lack of control, and I don't mean self-control, temperance. I don't mean it in that way, because life has dealt us so much that we couldn't control. In childhood, there were so many things that we had to live through that we could not control. Relationships we get into that we could not control, and have the man act the way we thought he should act towards us. Exactly. And then we wind up later having relationships where we're trying to control that person, and they never did anything that's worthy of us doing that. And then we're controlling to our children, not realizing that they're just little humans, becoming adults. And if you don't give them the tools to make decisions with you kind of guiding them, but everything is, don't do that. But you're not even, they're not even fully being able to express themselves or show you who they are, because you nipping everything in the bud before you even allow the bud to blossom to see if it really needs nipping. It might have just been a moment, but you making it humongous, and it doesn't need to be. Go ahead. You gonna say something?
It took me somewhere else. It took me to aggressive drivers.
You're talking about me to my face.
I think a lot of this aggression is because of anger and hurt feelings. It has nothing to do about the person going too slow or missing the yellow light. It's
Or lack of
things.
preparation. You running late, so now it's everybody's problem.
Yeah, and the way you pop off about it is like, whoa, you know, it's almost personal, and you know it's not because they don't know you. But the anger is so monumental that you have to, in that split second, you have to realize it's not you. You're just that thing that they can use, that punching bag. Not to say that you should drive slow or all of that, but I just seen like such a rise in aggressive drivers. I'm like, everybody can't be driving bad on purpose. Like, what is going on? You see people run red lights all the time now.
Everybody runs red lights. Everybody, these bicycle riders, we're in the DMV, in case you haven't picked that up in other episodes. We're in the DMV, and we have all of these bicyclists, these delivery people who are on these mopeds and these little motorized bicycles flying past you and going through red lights. You have cars pulling around you, waiting for a few minutes, and then they're running red lights. And I'm surprised. I haven't looked at anything statistically and hadn't thought about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if AAA has some ratings that people, our rates might even start going up because people are being so aggressively crazy in their driving. But it all comes from all of this unchecked pain about the life that we're having to live in these United States.
Yeah.
All the trauma that we're experiencing, all the unknown things that people are experiencing because they don't know what the next moment is going to bring for them. And that's why it's so important to get connected and stay connected to God.
It is.
God gives us the ability to see things before they even happen and show us how to prepare even before it happens if we stay connected to Him. People send me stuff all the time. Don't do this because this is what's happening. And my response usually like, "Whoa!" And that come from the pit of hell. But it's not going to change my movement. I respond to it, but it's not going to change my movement because I know who my Father is, and my Father always protects me, always watches over me. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to change my whole life because somebody else is being crazy. Just remember, you can't heal the wound if you never touch the root. You cannot heal the pain if you never touch the root. You cannot heal the wound, the pain, the issue if you never touch the root of it. True. So here's our challenge for you. Identify one painful response. Ask yourself why at least 3 times. That's how you dig. Whenever somebody comes to me and says something, like if you said to me, I just don't know what I'm going to do with this situation. I was like, wow. Well, because I don't know, how I'm going to get this done. Or why don't you know? I just keep saying why. So you can dig deeper into the reason. Right. Because if you just leave it at the surface, and I'm teaching myself to do that more. Okay. Because people are always coming to me for advice. They always want me to help them fix it, a quick fix. Do you know what I can do with this? Well, why do you need to do something with that? Well, because da-da-da. Well, why da-da-da? Just keep asking why until I help them get to the root. There. Instead of me getting to the root, because I can do the excavation, and as soon as I walk away, you put the dirt right back on because you don't like the way the dirt looks. It's like handicapping people and not allowing God to help them go through the process.
You're not here to be an enabler.
And I might have been an enabler in my previous time.
Me too.
But I'm getting so much better about asking questions. One of my close friends used to, when people would call and be asking them for money, and I would say to them, well, are you expecting them to pay you back? Yeah, they need to pay me back. The amount of money they're asking for, I said, well, ask them, why do they need the money for? Well, I don't want to be all in their business. They all up in your pocket. Why do they need the money from you? Well, why am I asking them that? Because you need to know if they're going to have the ability to pay you back.
Right.
Did they have an event, or is it behaviors?
Right.
Are they spending their money, they out partying all week, and they're coming to you to pay a mortgage?
Right, because they're in a hole.
Because they're in the hole because of poor decisions. Right. So if you're expecting the money back, that's why I've learned, if I'm giving you money, and don't come asking me none for none when you hear this, I'm not going to give to you anything that I can't afford to lose, because I don't want to turn our relationship into something that I'm now mad at you
because you owe me.
Because you owe me, and then you gonna start trying to act like I'm the problem.
Right.
You owe me money.
They always flip that.
They always flip that. And so you don't give money that you can't lose unless prior to you giving it, you ask questions. And the moment the person who's asking you for the money is uncomfortable with your question, then you know not to give it to them unless you're just going to bless them with the money.
Right.
Because you have no intention on paying me back. You know I have it, so you're asking me for it.
That's right.
And you have no intention on paying me back. So we just got to be careful.
We do.
I tell you, God, listen, I'm the nugget dropper because we drop nuggets. We drop nuggets, and may not be on point with the conversation, but it's still something for you to know. So again, we want you to identify one painful response. Mm-hmm. Ask yourself why at least 3 times. Minimally 3 times with every answer that you write. 3 times. Write down what surfaces, bring it into prayer, journaling, and even, as my dear sister has mentioned, therapy. Jesus and therapy work is great, because sometimes you need a human to bounce things off of you when our ears are not as sharp to God's voice as we need it to be. We need help. And there are people who are trained to do that. So never discount getting therapy. I just want us to get to a place where we are able to understand that roots are important, and we have to deal with them. I think I put the cart before the horse, so I'm going to go back a little bit. I didn't talk about life after root work. I was closing out. I was finishing up and hadn't even done this part. Emotional clarity replaces confusion. That's what happens after you've done the root work. Relationships become safer, deeper, and more honest. You can have real relationships now. Not those surface kind, not those fake kind, but real relationship. You feel lighter, you feel freer, and more spiritually in tune. This is what happens when you've done the work. You're less reactive, more rooted in peace. When you dig up the root, you make room for peace to grow. What's one thing you gained after finally dealing with the root issue? I would say for me, I gained peace. I gained more clarity, not about them or it, but about me. The root work started in me. Mm-hmm. The desire to be better started in me. Because I want to be better, not bitter. I want to be stronger, not weaker. I don't want to go in reverse. I want to move forward. Right. And so when I went through this life after root work process, it has helped me get clarity and have emotional intelligence that I've never had before. I was always real good at helping other people identify their stuff and to fix their stuff. Mm-hmm. But all that fixing everybody else didn't leave space for me to turn around and look at my own self. So I would suffer in silence while you're thriving, because I've given you tools, but haven't used the tools. And I said, what good is it having garden tools, and you look in your backyard and all you got is weeds? But you go to those who you have taught how to use their garden tools, and they're thriving and they can eat from what they planted. But you're over here dying in despair, having nothing to eat. So, again, so we want to make sure we are, this is our closing challenge. You can't heal the wound if you've never touched the root. Identify one painful resource. Ask yourself why. At least 3 times. I know I said this earlier because I put the cart before the horse. I hadn't shared with you what you would experience once you've done this root work. But again, I'm going to repeat the challenge just so you have it in you. Identify one painful response and then ask yourself why. Minimally 3 times. Write down what surfaces, bring it into prayer, journaling, and we are fully supportive of therapy. The root you expose is the burden you will no longer have to carry. You've been carrying it long enough. It's time to give it up. Any final encouragement you have before we close out this episode?
I think we've covered a myriad of things, and we've given them some really good tools. I just ask that they do not let Mr. Procrastinator or Mrs. Procrastinator come in and that they put it on the shelf and say, I'll deal with this later. Because the sooner you deal with this, the sooner you get to do what you're supposed to do, the freer you'll become. The new, authentic person that is in there is dying to get out, but they can't as long as you're suppressing those things. So I ask of you that you do the work.
Amen. And with that, I'll give you I told you that, until God tells me stop, I will give you the I am becoming affirmation that I do at nighttime for myself. And I'm sharing with you because I think it's powerful that we go to sleep with power on our mind. And you can repeat it after me. I release the weight of today.
I release the weight of today.
Every worry, every what if.
Every worry, every what if.
Every pressure to be more.
Every pressure to be more.
I choose peace over perfection.
I choose peace over perfection.
And rest over rushing.
And rest over rushing.
My mind is aligning with truth.
My mind is aligning with truth.
I am not behind.
I am not behind.
I am right on time.
I am right on time.
I am not broken.
I am not broken.
I am being rebuilt.
I am being rebuilt.
I am not stuck.
I am not stuck.
I am being still so I can be strengthened.
I am being still so I can be strengthened.
Even in silence, I'm growing.
Even in silence, I am growing.
Even in rest, I'm rising.
Even in rest, I am rising.
God is doing more in quiet than I could ever do in chaos.
God is doing more in quiet than I could ever do in chaos.
I am safe.
I am safe.
I am loved.
I am loved.
I am chosen.
I am chosen.
I am enough.
I am enough.
And tomorrow,
I
will rise with renewed strength.
I will rise with renewed strength.
Renewed clarity.
Renewed clarity.
And renewed purpose.
And renewed purpose.
Listen, my day is going to be so amazing that tomorrow is going to be jealous. Catch that. We love you. We're glad that you spent this time with us. Again, don't forget to make comments in the comments. Make sure you like this episode. Make sure you share this episode. And make sure you subscribe and become a part of the Nugget Tribe. We are depending on you to become a part of our community. And we're so glad that you've taken the time to be with us. So until the next time, we'll see you later. Bye. And we forgot our picture set. Okay.
That one was probably longer than normal, right?
I don't know. Thank you for watching the Rest Movement Podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.